Hi everyone, this is me Niamh, and I just thought I'd show you a quick view of my space where I create since I've actually cleaned it for a change. So it was an absolute disaster. I'll put in the before pictures at the end of the video so you can see the difference. After doing my 100-day project, it was a disgrace. So I have spent the last 2 hours, 3 hours actually cleaning up, and I've got room again. So I'm going to flip this around so you can see what I have to. So this is my current space. It's still tidy after I've been working in it for a little while. This is where I set my glass mat, and here are all the pens that I have, all my Posca paint pens and paint over pens, the fine ones up the top, gel mediums, my spreaders, my go-to dye inks, some alcohol markers, some hand sanitizer which I use to help clean my glass mat when it gets a bit grubby, my acrylic inks and some of my art dolls across here, my wet wipes and my iPad because I like to have things playing while I'm working. In these little drawers I've got my quote chips that I use, adhesives, glue sticks and so on in there. Oops. And I've just made a mess of some flour that's coming up for a project that I'm working on. My water, I tend to have 3 or 4 water jars on the go because I don't have running water in here, so I tend to be a bit lazy and just have a few sitting here. These are all my journals that I'm working on, some art books, my paper towel, my Rascog, one of 2. So this one is full of my Dina Wakley paints and all my go-to mediums, the ones I use the most up the top. My favourite mark making tools and paintbrushes, my neons, my watercolours. Down this end I've just got some other acrylics that don't quite fit in, and my larger brushes that I don't use as often. The second layer I've got my colour pencils, my scribble sticks and water soluble pastels, some more paints and things like clear gesso and black gesso and some gold foil. And down the bottom here is a whole heap of my collage stuff, which looks a little bit messy. It is actually tidy under here. This is just sort of sat on top, and because they're small pieces they tend to look a bit messy. And I've got my oil chalk pastels and my gel plate right down the bottom. Over here I've got my travel bag that I use, which has got my junk journal in it and all the printables from Little Raven Ink. I've got my encyclopedia that I use as go-to collage if I'm gel printing, that I can tear pages out of it and ink over the top, or if I need to mop something up. I've got all my stencils in here organised into 12 by 12s, words, people and so on. And just behind I've got some watercolour paper and some books that I'm going to use for some altered books. At the back there you can see my ATG tape runners, and under that I've got my Flow paper magazines. On this side I've got my second Rascog, which has got some mermaid markers, my blocks, all my spray inks and incredible inks, acrylic, liquid acrylics that I've been using lots of, all my sticker books, so things that I use awful lot are sitting up here. All my Dina Wakley stamps, again, are my go-to, so they're sitting up the top where I can just grab them. Down below I've got some more stamps, and again, the ones that I use most often are just piled up here. My pile of washi tape and my foam stamps and braille and just little bits and pieces here. Hanging off my light, I've got my Tim Holtz stencils, and usually my heat guns hanging off there as well. On the end I've got my paper trimmer and my apron, which don't get used as often as they should. Just panning back around here. So I've got all my papers, stacks and stacks of papers, and over in this corner I've got just bits and pieces that I don't use very often. So my old art box I had for art school, and a laminator because I'm a teacher. Over here I've got all my class equipment, so when I go and teach class, that's all the stuff that goes with me. In the video boxes over here I've got unmounted stamps, and up top I've got a whole heap of journals and altered books that I had, ribbons, some bits and pieces, my teacher clock there, and some flowers that I've had for years. This little box over here, I'm just going to move my Rascog out of the way, is quite special because my dad helped me build it at least 25 years ago, and it's got all my wood mounted stamps in it. Because for those people who don't know, I'm first and foremost a stamper. I was to begin with, so this is my passion for so many years. For those people who've been around for 25-30 years, you'll recognise some of these beautiful stamps are from PSX. If you have got any in your stash, don't throw them out or sell them really cheap like I did, because I've been looking on eBay and some of the ones I used to have are going for $90, so they're a bit of a collectible item at this stage. So lots of pretty designs that I just don't use as often as I should. Sorry, there's my finger in there. I'm trying to go slow so you don't get dizzy because it's freezing cold in Tasmania at the moment. I've also got an industrial heater in here. Above my workstation is a board I got from Kmart in Australia. It was really, really cheap, and I just chuck up any happy mail or anything that inspire me. I've got a print from Dina Wakely that I got when I was at her class last year, and then just some artwork that I've done that I really like, my art dolls. And down here are a whole heap of drawers, which I got really excited about when I got them, and they've been fabulous, from Bunnings. And again, they work really, really well if I stack them properly, which I haven't done these ones. So I've got my embossing gear up the top, so all my embossing powders, all my dye inks, and what you call them, oxide inks. Got my spray inks and some of my archival inks that don't fit in the top one. This is my card making drawer, so all my extra cardboard and stuff I've got. Some extra collage bits and pieces in here, unfinished projects. A whole heap of alcohol inks and acrylic paints, which I really need to go through because a lot of these acrylic paints I've had for years and have probably gone off at this stage. Pens, glue stick things, thickers and stickers, foils, more thickers. Some of this, when I was cleaning up, I may have just shoved in here because I couldn't find a space for it. This is sort of a miscellaneous drawer of more scrapbooky bits and pieces. Same with this one, just chipboard shapes and packs of papers. More stamps, because again, I was a stamper and I've got lots and lots of them. This drawer is all my big tools, like my crocodiles and punches and so on. These next three drawers are all my ephemera collage-y drawers, so bits of magazines, papers that I've printed, free postcards, bits of metal, anything I can think of gets put in here. Old magazines, old notebooks, that's from 2000 to inspire me, or I can cut up and use. Old books that have been chopped to pieces, collage principles, again more magazines, sort of all my bulky stuff. There's a sample of my stamping from back in the day. Oops. So lots of stuff in there. Walk down memory lane. Right, this one's got my old art journals, and again some sort of miscellaneous sewing stuff. There's alphabets down the bottom here as well, which I don't use as much as I should. There's some beautiful alphabets there. Up the top here, this is my daughter's craft drawer. She's loves coming in and doing art with mummy, so I've given her some doubles of things I've got, or got her own little packet that she can put different bits and pieces in. My attempt at Project Life that you can see has gone really, really well. So I'll get around to that at some stage. Laminating bits and pieces, an iron that has never touched clothes but has been used in many craft projects, and all my screen printing stuff and a few extra magazines that I just couldn't fit in the other drawers. Up the top, I tried to keep this clear, and again it sort of ends up getting covered. But I've got my ink machine, which I tend to use more as a laminator. I've got a guillotine, which again I don't use very often. I tend to just use a fork, a craft knife and a ruler. My Xyron machine, which turns everything into sticker, which I love. And my stamp press, which used to sit at the side of my desk, but it just never got used. So I put it there. I do use it when I'm prepping for classes. It's handy when I'm doing that. And a big roll of double-sided tape, because everyone needs one that big. Over in these drawers, these are all sort of little ephemera drawers. So I've tried again to organise it so sort of metal bits, sparkly bits, fabricy bits, more metally bits. Don't necessarily all fit in here. Tags and pre-done pieces. Ephemera, bits and pieces, and some extra blocks, and just some extra adhesives over here. Oops, just gonna go around again. Sorry, I can't walk through. Move my water bottle out of the way. Up the top here is my go-to drawer, because it's right next to my desk, and this is all my Dina Wakely stencils and collage sheets, because I just use them so often. They're usually the first things I grab. Some of my Tim Holtz bits and pieces, some more, just all the sort of stuff that I use more regularly that I can just go and grab, especially when I'm on camera, so I'm not taking too much time to grab things. I'm just, again, going to pan around quickly. So I'm actually based in a garage that we've converted. So over in the corner there, that's all my teaching stuff, because while I'm teaching this year, I don't actually have a classroom. I share with some other teachers, so I don't have an own space for all my resources. And over this side is my husband's area, where he sort of does electronics and bits and pieces as well. So that's a tour of my studio. Hopefully I can keep it as clean as this for a little while longer. I don't hold many hopes for that, but you know, if I try, it should happen. Thank you so much for tuning in, and after this there's some close-up shots of my studio. If you've got any questions about storage, or I've got any suggestions for what I could do differently, please let me know in the comments below. Sorry, that's the last thing I forgot to show you. That's my ring light where I do my filming, and you can see I've got my mount there, so that's where the magic happens. Bye for now.